this dysfunction as a whole. That was the challenge in the practice, and it needed to transgress certain boundaries, only boundaries of thinking. There are truly no boundaries. And so it was something that had never been done before. That was the challenge, and the approach that I'm presenting to you is our unique contribution to the advancement of children's cases. So first, let us understand what ASD to me is. All of these gastrointestinal issues and so on that many children suffer from, to me is not autism. None of these are. Because if you go after each one of these, most of the time it will never end. You will never end looking for a solution. There's always something else that is wrong, again, because the whole state is not taken into consideration. So that is whether you use supplements, medication, and sometimes even homeopathic remedies. Because, by the way, taking homeopathic remedies does not exactly constitute homeopathy. It's one remedy I'm talking about, one remedy for a whole state that needs to fit the whole state, express through, again, the physical, emotional, and mental. Now, the idea of one remedy may sound rather ridiculous, but it is the truth. You can reverse autism with one remedy. It is the only method that can loosen up the codependency we have with supplements or medication, or supplements and medication. It is the only way I know of, it may be, but that's the only way we can disconnect this codependency that is so strong, actually, with this particular ailment. So the core is what needs to be lifted. We need to know what needs to be lifted, otherwise we run around chasing, like I just mentioned, symptoms endlessly, try to apply one theory after another in order to affect generally just the physical plane. When we get the core better, then everything else most commonly gets better, as a general rule. One rule about ASD is that there is no rule, really, but we can make some loosely. So I call all the other stuff peripheral. Eye contact, speech, and interaction is what to me represents ASD. It's very streamlined. Otherwise, it's gastroenteritis, something else. All the peripherals are part of, but they are not. So we need to reach the core, and the core is the state. And the state is how, not why, how the child is affected and experiences the disorder. Not why, how. How is a great question. I ask it many, many times a day. So this is a representation of the core. And the peripherals, these black dots, gastrointestinal seizures, eczema, and so on. So we need to reach the core, that which relays all of these problems we are generally chasing. And we need to reach the core at the level of experience of the core, the state of how the child is affected by the disorder. It is absolutely crucial to reach that level of understanding in order to systematically, this is the key for the practice, systematically reverse autism, not an accidental issue where we give everything the same thing to everybody, and one child, thank God, gets better. But we want to do it systematically. It may not be successful every time, but systematically is what we need to do. Absolutely crucial. So, this is a differentiation of a common symptom of hand flapping. Common symptom. And let's say it represents the core in a human experience. Once we understand the deeper layer, the reach can be equally beneficial in depth. And the deeper we reach, the deeper the healing can be. This is depth. And what I have on the slide right now is commonly reached after several hours of questions, meticulous questions. It may look simple on the slide here, but it takes quite a while to thread down to this, to the level of experience. And when we look at this slide, I think we could see that it's a bit more human, or a lot more human, than what the blood test shows us, that what an analysis shows us. It brings back humanity. These 5 examples are examples in my practice where the children got far better, reversed, we could say, with one remedy. Keep in mind, this is after several hours of questions. The first example relates to a remedy called stramonium. The second example relates to a remedy called baptisia, or part of the leguminosae family. The third example is cyclamen. The fourth example, which you will see on the video, is lycinum. And the fifth example is scrofularia. This is depth. Okay, so what's beautiful about this? So, how do we extract information? Information that is homeopathically relevant from a child who cannot speak. This is done literally through bringing the ailment to life. Literally bringing the ailment itself to life, generally done through the mother. At the moment of becoming pregnant, the mother becomes a carrier. The child is only a graft on the mother. This is why I say on the slide, you might have a craving for creamed herring at 3 a.m. in the morning. Or throughout your pregnancy, you might want to wear the color yellow, a seemingly ridiculous thing. Or you might want to go to the beach in the middle of the winter, as I saw in New York. She had to go to the beach. Or you might want to open a laundromat in a different state. Odd behaviors. Really odd behaviors like that are very important to us when we look at the state during pregnancy. Because to a homeopath, this becomes tangible information. There are 3 key moments during pregnancy. The moment of finding out you are pregnant, the pregnancy itself, as a general rule, and the delivery. And sometimes some women actually know within a few hours that they are pregnant. This gives, with proper questioning, and in the end with a right remedy, it leads to a state. And the mother can go very deeply with proper questioning into that state. Because that state very often represents the state of the child. That is the child coming. That's why people say, I was not myself. Women say, I was not myself. That is very, very important to me. Very important to go into, because then the child has already taken over. But finding out about the mother during pregnancy is not fully effective for our purpose. It's good, but we can do better. So this is just about pregnancy. But there are obvious limitations to just looking at pregnancy, and that's what I was, for years, I was coming against. There are several. First of all, because the father doesn't have any say about it. The mother may not want to relate to the pregnancy at the level that is needed, the very depth that is needed for the purpose of finding a remedy. She may not be able to go deeper. I've had these experiences. And there is also no way of arriving at a remedy when the child is adopted. That to me was not acceptable for many years. My thinking for many years was nature is better than that. And considering homeopathy and nature basically, in my view, make one, homeopathy was better. So there had to be a confluence of these two, where we could get deeper even, for better results. So for some time I asked the mother about the state, physical, emotional, and mental during pregnancy, because that was the best thing I could do. To me, she was the first witness to the child. But I realized that this is only partly true. That's all I could do, though. So when we ask only about the pregnancy, we can get at best 40% results. So at least 60% of the children were not getting better, and this really was deep in my conscience. It was bothering me. It was not right.